And we should be live streaming on YouTube, Chair Westgate.
Okay, welcome everybody. We'll call the meeting to order. Anybody with conflict of interest, declare it at the proper time. Our first delegation is Chris from Streets with our Warwick paved road study. Do you want to present that, Chris?
Yes, I will. Thank you, everybody. The report we're presenting is the Paved Road Study 2020. It was performed in a similar fashion to the 2015 report, obviously done 5 years ago, where Spree staff evaluated all hard surface roads within Warwick Township, be they rural or urban within the town of Warwick or within Watford. Total length assessed for hard surface roads is 88 kilometers. Each section is evaluated and tracked accordingly based on essentially the report that was done 5 years ago, which matched the sections from your asset management plan. So it was done in that fashion, block by block, essentially, to make it easy to compare, to refer, and correlate with your asset management plan. The assessment was performed in 2020 on several days. It involved driving each roadway, each section, essentially 3 times. Measurements essentially were done 5 years ago, but new ones were taken. You get out of the car to take your photos, to document certain issues that you might see, and to perform your assessment. The inventory, again, was completed in 2015. The 2020 updated that inventory with new measurements, with essentially the current condition assessment of each block, of each asset, including identifying the road conditions, noting the various deficiencies. The report includes a 10-year capital improvement plan for roadways, which is essentially our forecast of the next 10 years of costs we anticipate will be required to maintain these roadways. Proposed rehabilitation options, there are many, and it's street by street. Could be anything from do nothing to crack sealing to asphalt overlays, basically a spray to seal it up, typically including some granulars for some strength to fill in essentially the bigger alligator areas, minor potholes, wheel ruts. We did look at tar and chip overlay in certain areas, patch repairs where it was site specific, as well as complete replacement of certain blocks. Our overall assessment rated each section from A through F. Within sections A and B rating was 70%. C and D rating combined was roughly 28%. And F roads was, I believe, 1.3%. So overall, your roads are in quite good shape. They were in 2015 as well. You've upgraded several roads since then, and this report would reflect that. All sections evaluated with regard to the rehabilitation costs and the timeline. That's all in the Appendix B of this report. Again, with the 1 to 5 year projection and the 6 to 10. Section 6 of the report lists, it's the top, I believe it's 5 projects that we have deemed the worst and the most urgent to rehabilitate. They're all Ds and Fs. I believe the value of those 5 is around $500,000. Total costs in this report to rehabilitate in years 1 to 5 is roughly 2.27 million, and years 6 to 10 is around 1.1 million. There is another section in here as well. It's table 4.3 or 4-3, page 18, and it lists safety related issues that we've noticed. And it isn't so much the road condition, it's more culvert or road speed signage that's missing. That should be installed. The costs for those were not isolated just to do the signage. It was, and that could be done. The costs for those were lumped in with the road section that it applied to. So that is a section that should be looked at, as well as, you know, the initial ones that we suggested, the Ds and Fs, to be done in 2021, 2022. So it's a fairly thorough review. It's time consuming on site to assess each road. It's something we've proposed be done every 5 years. You did it in 2015. This was the 2020. And it's accurate. It reflects the current conditions. We have background that isn't in this report that we keep on file basically forever with our notes of what we found. We have piles of photos if they're ever needed to refer to. So we do have more than obviously what's in this book, should you ever need it.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions? Jackie?
Andrew, what percentage of the D and F roads are we looking at for our budget? Have we budgeted for 2021?
I don't have the percentage amount, but a good chunk of it, which is Zion Line and F Road, is in the budget for next year.
Okay,
So there's a good chunk of it that's being taken care of in 2020 or proposed for the 2020 budget.
okay, thanks.
Anybody else? Are traffic counts in on your report, Chris, the usage of the roads? Like,
I believe we had them in the gravel study. Andrew, you could correct me. I think we had them in the gravel study we did a year ago, but for this one, I don't believe they are. And
That's correct. Yeah, we had a few done for gravel, so we could get a better handle on the use of the road. But for the pave, we don't have them included as part of the report. We do have them. We do have current traffic counts on Confed, but aside from that, they weren't requested in this report.
so I was wondering if some of the roads that are paved, well, we can go back to tire and chip anyway. One of the questions I had in recommendations, what page is it on? Page 2, I guess. It says the township is funding 49% of its long-term requirements in it on an annual basis. What's that mean? Like,
or is that page 2?
yeah.
That was copied right out of the asset management plan, I believe, Jerry.
Okay.
And that wasn't written by us.
All right.
I
I
think it
just
says-
wondered if, oh, maybe Trevor can tell us.
Yeah, I just came off mute for that. What they did is when they do the asset management plan, they look at how much we traditionally spend over a certain period of time relative to what the ongoing cost of roads would be. And based on what we were doing in the 2017-18 rewrite, it was 49% at that time. Now it will go up because we've done Confederation since that time. But still, we aren't, since we've got so much in A and B, we aren't having to spend as much as somebody who's predominantly in the C and D, if that makes any sense. Our spend is relative to where we are in our life cycle of our assets.
Yeah, it doesn't clear it up much for me. I guess what I'm asking, do we need to put more in or are we putting lots in?
We're putting a lot away in reserves so that when we need it, we should be able to afford it.
Okay, so the 49%, like it says, is funding 49% of long-term requirements.
Yep.
Well, that kind of leads me to believe that we should be putting more in because we're only putting half enough in for our long-term requirements.
But that doesn't look at reserves.
Okay, so the other 51% is made up by reserves?
We're putting a lot into reserves, let's put it that way, every year. As through the investment policy.
Okay. Sir, yes, Wayne?
Chris, the roads that are F, are you kind of indicating that they're almost not safe to be used? I don't quite understand that. If that's the case, are we under liability because we have an unsafe road?
No, I wouldn't say that.
Okay, that's good.
They're in, I would say, dire straits of not being in great shape, but are they a traffic concern? I don't think so, no.
Okay,
No.
that's good.
If it was, I would have flagged that in a much more urgent fashion. Right here, you look at the worst 5, I think we only have 5 in that range, but are they a safety concern? No,
Okay,
it's just they're asphalt roads. These are your 5 worst by a landslide. So,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Well, thank you, Chris, for the report.
You're
I'm sure
welcome.
Andrew will put it to good use.
I appreciate it. No problem.
Oh, Jackie?
No, I move to receive and file that
Oh,
report.
okay. Moved
I
moved
second
by
the motion.
Jackie, second by Wayne, all in favor? I don't think we have anything else for Chris, do we? Thank you very much, Chris.
No problem. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
You too.
You too. Municipal stakeholders letter, municipal guidance document. Is that just for information or?
Yes, Councillor Westgate, it was just provided for information as it came after council considered the matter. So I wanted you to have it on file.
Okay. Our Public Works update for February. Do you want to say something, Andrew, and then we'll
Yes.
leave it as questions?
Sure. Thanks, Councillor Westgate. I will pick out the highlights and then open it up for any questions, either during or after. So we'll start off with the water and wastewater services. The rural water meter replacement program is continuing on for the year. Meter investigations continue on as need basis. The laws master plan next steps. So just to keep everybody informed, they've had what's called currently the Public Information Center, and that's essentially just an electronic way to put information on the website or on a website and have public feedback about proposed options, how they're going to improve the Laws water system to improve Warwick's distribution system and hopefully set up for the future, for future water demands. So I just outlined kind of the next steps from now till about June, give or take, of course, depending on how COVID impacts this. But I've outlined kind of the next steps in case anybody had any questions, what was going on with the Laws master plan. So they'll be having another public information center where they'll gather further information, feedback from the public on their kind of their proposals for what they would want to do to improve the amount of water they're going to get to the member municipalities. Road operations, of course, we've got quite a bit of snow over the last few weeks, so Public Works have been very busy and everything's going fairly smooth, making sure the roads are nice and safe. These items were awarded at council, but so our gravel tender was awarded as well as the calcium. The Public Works are continuing to provide gravel on water main breaks, sewer breaks, which, knock on wood, there haven't been too many. So luckily, hopefully we can keep that streak going. Municipal drainage is ongoing. There's been a couple municipal drains in construction over the winter. And of course, there's ongoing maintenance all the time. Capital projects, lots on the go for the year, as always. Warwick Street reconstruction, that project was awarded to Cassidy Construction, and they can commence anytime after May 1st on that project. Hickory Creek Line rehabilitation project, that's of course from Forest Road to Ellerton. That that project closes tenders on the 25th of February. So we're hoping for lots of bids on that one. And then there's various bridges that will be rehabbed in some shape or form, whether it's a full replacement or just minor improvements made to the bridges. So I've outlined which site that is and location. And then there's a list of other capital projects that we will be looking into once the facility needs study is complete. Just an update on the brush and yard waste service. If you can remember, we brought a report to council to, get the permission to go into negotiations. So we have a contract in draft. So far, we're just waiting to confirm with WM on commencement, which we're hoping for is April 1st. And as soon as we can get the contract ready for council, I'll be preparing signage so we can blast the community and let them know exactly what's going on. So, there's lots of warning where they can take the brush in the future. As always, COVID continues to be a concern, even with the township dropping back or the county dropping back into the orange category. We're still continuing all the safe practices, maintaining social distancing, PPE. And as always, we're continuing to plan for the 2022 capital budget. Seems like this one just gets closed and we're on to planning for the next at least year. So I'll open it up for any questions at this time.
Any questions? I did have just a couple. We have some gravel on site there now. There's a lot of frost this year. I don't think we're going to have the roads in the same shape, the gravel roads in the same shape this year as we had last year. And it's always nice to have some gravel on the yard there to fix holes and stuff, because we don't want to be hauling it in half load season.
That's
and
correct.
I wondered if you had enough there, or if we need to get more.
To my knowledge, we have enough. I haven't heard any rumblings that there won't be enough there. But yeah, we if we need to get some in, we can haul some in.
I'm just thinking we'll need more this year than we did last year for sure, just to fix bad spots.
And you may be right. Yeah, you never know how Mother Nature's gonna freeze and thaw. But I have a hard time believing we're gonna get off as good as we did last year.
No, I don't think so. On Warwick Street, is the contractor going to give notices to all the people that are involved there?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. That's the only questions I had. Nothing else? Wayne?
I just wanted, Andrew, I had a lot of good comments about the sidewalk snow removal this year with that little machine. Whoever's running it is doing an excellent job. I had 2 or 3 people stop me on the streets.
I will certainly pass that on to staff.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yes, I haven't had any complaints about any of the roads or the sidewalks. It's a lot better this year. At least the ground froze up and that machine doesn't dig it out like it has other years. The only thing I don't like is behind the pharmacy there. They pile all the snow from that complex there on the sidewalk there. I guess there's sidewalk on the other side, but it sure blocks that whole sidewalk off and part of the roadway.
We can have a look to see if there's anything we can.
I don't know where else they're gonna put it unless they have their own land to put it on or truck it away, but.
That's the challenge. And I know we do pile snow from parking areas in certain locations. And then of course, when you see a pile of snow and you need to pile it somewhere, typically it gets placed on existing piles. So it's tough to manage.
I see you're hauling snow away today.
Yeah.
All right, nothing else?
Did everybody see the cranes in town putting the steel
Yes.
up for the new Libro building?
They didn't put much steel up for a day, though.
They got started though.
Was there the usual crew out there watching? We have
Kinda
a
cold
good,
for
we have
people
a
to
good
watch
group
too
of
much.
performance. Yep.
Do we need a motion to accept the report?
I'll move
Go
that.
ahead, Wayne. Thank you. And I guess the only other thing we have is ice operators report. Teresa, are you going to?
Yes, Councillor Westgate. So I was asked to bring an additional ICE operations report to the Public Works Committee today. I apologize, but you should have received a revised report as there was very new information to be considered. And so we've been working through that information. On Friday, it was announced in the afternoon that Lambton County would be moving to orange. Orange is not a color we have yet visited or operated in. So we have taken the time to review all of the regulations to ensure that we're ready for reopening. Also, on February 11th, the Premier or province announced that March break would be moving to April 12th to 16th. And that's important in our entire ICE schedule because some users don't all use March break. They'll take March break off. And now with it being postponed, it has an impact on our ICE operations. And the other thing that would impact our ICE operations, which would anyways, but it's important to note, is April 2nd to 5th is Easter. So those first couple of weeks of April have an effect on our ICE operations should we be operating in April. So we still only have one ICE user that is confirmed that they have canceled their season, and they did that. I'd already reported that. They had done that at shutdown. However, our other primary ICE users have indicated that they would be interested in returning, and again, it depended on restrictions. Under orange, I listed, sort of summarized what I thought were the key things that might change. And so one was no spectators permitted, but still a person under 18 could be accompanied by one parent or guardian. And that's pretty much what we were doing before anyways. The only difference would be, for example, if someone was 18 or over, they could not have a spectator at this point. In yellow, we did allow a spectator. Patrons can only be in the facility for 90 minutes, except if engaging in a sport. So my interpretation of that is a parent could be there for 90 minutes, but they probably couldn't be there for back-to-back rentals. They would have to leave in between. And then I did include hall information because this also impacts our ice rentals for Sunday nights, because we do have the Optimist Club that runs a bar. Not too many, but we do have to maintain 4 people seating at one table, whereas before we had sort of separated them into teams for 2 tables. We now have to be closed between 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. and alcohol has to be stopped serving and sold as of 9 p.m. Previously, it was 10 p.m. And that no buffet style can be done. And we had previously done a very modified buffet. And so I would have to look at that again. And just to note, because we do get questions about this one all the time, about whether playgrounds are open or not, and playgrounds are open, they remain open. So what we're looking at is the fact that we do have ICE users that are still interested, that we could operate pretty much exactly how we were operating ICE in yellow. So there's really not much changes. We are in the midst of rescheduling our staff and following this, notifying ICE users. So we're looking at Friday which would give ice users a full day to get their stuff ready. And I had talked to our largest ice user, and they have said that with 1 day's notice, they could be ready. The other things that we're looking at is a grace period, in the sense that although we can be open, there's still be made changes in the users' schedules. So for example, even though they're ready to go back, there might be some families of children who have decided, no, we're going to call it a year. And so it may impact their registration. And if that's the case, we'd like to give the users a grace period till the end of February to solidify their ice schedules. And also, we actually have users that are going to increase our ice schedule because our neighboring facilities are closed that share ice users. With that in mind, we would ask ice users commit to the full month of March, not taking that week off for March break, because it's now in April. And that because of Easter and then March break, we actually remove ice April 1st. So this gives ice users about 5 weeks of another season, or a remaining of a season. And the other thing about this is that we know that this plan is in place for 2 weeks. So we know we're in orange for 2 weeks. And that we would need to make any changes after that should we go to red. Red would be obviously the worst case scenario. I guess gray would be, or a complete provincial shutdown. But yellow and green, we'd be perfectly fine to continue on. But keeping in mind that ice users would have to make some radical changes to their schedules and how they use their ice, because their gathering limit would change significantly. So we would have to revisit this probably in a couple of weeks.
I was under the understanding orange, you could only have 10 people inside.
No, it's 50, and I have confirmed that with public health today.
Okay. Yes, Amanda?
So Teresa is correct, 50 in a staffed facility. In unstaffed supervised facilities, it's 10 indoors, I believe. So there's a difference for our facilities. So community hall rentals or arena use, we can go up to 50 in a space, assuming that we have a staff person present.
Okay, that sounds good, because I didn't think the Huff and Puff could play.
So if I could speak to that, Councillor Westgate. So you can continue to play, but it needs to be modified so that there's no physical contact. So no checking in your league anymore.
No, we don't.
I was gonna say, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, so anything would have to be modified so that there would be no physical contact. And that's pretty much how we were doing it anyways. Well, it is how we were doing it. And the same things would be in place as per our Watford reopening plan. Still no shower use. Like we would continue with all the other
Same as
things.
before.
Yes. Yeah, just make these tweaks in our operations.
Okay. Well, I can talk to you after, but if the Huff and Puff are gonna start, I would like another day if we can. Two. Have 2
You
days.
want, oh, yeah.
Maybe Wednesday and Mondays.
Sure, we can talk about that as an ICE user. I'll certainly follow up with you.
Okay,
You'll get the correspondence with the revised. So following this meeting, whatever council decides, I guess we're deciding to continue with the ICE and reopen, and then revisit in 2 weeks, should we be moved to red, gray, or shut down. And looking at the recommendations that staff have brought forward, essentially myself. And then whatever council decides at this meeting, the next steps are generally when we're doing any changes due to COVID, is that we email everything to council, EOC, Parks and Rec Committee, staff, and all of our users.
I guess the way I would look at it, make a recommendation that we keep it open until, you said what, the first week of April?
That we would
Unless
close.
we go down and, like, unless the situation changed for the worse, and then we may as well close the arena. There's no use trying to keep the ice in after that. If 2 weeks we got shut down again, we may as well just close it, I think.
I don't think it would shut it right down with the red, would it, Teresa? It just,
No, so at Red, there would be the user groups would need to make some significant changes because the gathering limits change. And I believe it's 10. So with 10, it's no longer play, it would be skill development only. So for example, the Sunday night league, the Monday night league, those are two adult, well, one's a league and one's the Watford Old Adams, the Huff and Puff. Groups like that will most likely stop, especially the league, because they're no longer playing a game. They, to do skill development. But minor hockey could continue. Private rentals could continue. Figure skating could continue. But it's whether or not it's feasible with 10 people and then the cost of ice. And the refunds that they would have to do also for people that would make a choice of not returning. So that's why we suggested to sort of keep it flex for February. And then hopefully we'll know more and we'll have more notification of our next color zone.
So you're going to send an email out in a while, and I can get an email out to the players.
Yeah, so hopefully following this meeting.
Okay. Wayne?
Our next meeting is the 1st, and
Yep.
this orange could expire on the 2nd, so we should know by our next meeting to be able to continue. But I think leave it open, as long as we're orange or better. We need to get people out there and doing their thing. So do you need a motion on that, Teresa, for this report?
Yes.
Then I make such a motion.
Can I just clarify and get the CAO clerk's opinion on this? I think for everyone involved, it would be, I don't want to, easiest, I guess, to know that there's a start date and an end date, whether it's that we are going to end April 1st, because then people can move on and make other plans. If that makes any sense.
Is that a suggested amendment for the movers consideration?
Yeah.
I think if you-
Councillor Morris.
That
You only
gives us
said-
all the month of March.
Yes, and some of February.
Yeah,
10 days,
well,
but
right.
about
Oh,
10 days and
I'll
9 or 10
amend
days.
I'll amend my motion till April 1st.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Morris.
The only thing is, we may have a hockey school or something rent it for the whole of March break.
We've had no inquiries.
No,
Councillor
but
Muskie?
if
Yeah.
they know it's open and no place else is. So, but for now, that's fine. We can always change that.
We can change it.
So you've made the motion, Wayne?
I do.
Seconder? Jackie? All in favor?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I guess all we need is a motion to adjourn then. Todd? Jackie? Wayne? All in favor? Good.